This is a drawing I did for a video recently. There are a number of things I'm not overly happy about it. The main one being that these lower windows and doors are too large. Now, I can't do anything about that, but I can do something about the other problem, which is that this perspective angle is a little bit too steep. So we can see here the degree to which it is too steep. So the question is, how can I make this less impacting on my drawing? Now, I'm drawing in ink, so I can't erase anything. But let me share with you a trick I sometimes am able to use when I'm drawing to lessen the impact this sort of perspective inaccuracy has on the appearance of my drawing. Let me show diagrammatically first, just to make it a bit easier to see what I'm doing. Let's say this is my line, but it's a little bit steep. It should have been a bit higher on this lower end. What I do is I enclose that line on each side by new lines that, in effect, make my original line a diagonal. Now, exactly how wide this can be, and therefore how much I can adjust the angle, depends on where it is, how I've drawn it already, and how much of a change I'd like to make. But this is the sort of adjustment I often make in the early stages of a drawing when, for a subject such as this top guttering, I actually only have one line or maybe even a lighter line to indicate it. And if we're looking at this gutter here, we can see that the bottom half is in shade. And when we apply that shade, it makes this now diagonal line virtually impossible to see. However, we've already drawn the guttering in here, so that's going to limit slightly the effect I can have. But let's see, what can I do to make this angle look a little less steep? What do you think? So now, if we check the angle, this top line is spot on. Let's compare it to how it looked before. Now, because this is in fact a printed copy of my original drawing, I have another copy of the original drawing that we can compare side by side. I actually think this is one of the most valuable tips I've got to share. So if you're finding this helpful and my channel helpful, please hit the like button right now for me. But please also share this video with a friend. Sharing my videos with other people who draw is the most helpful thing you can do for me and for my channel. Now, I don't know whether you think this looks better than this, but in my mind, definitely, while it does have an unfortunately heavy appearance, without reference to the original photo, I don't think it's really that obvious. And visually now, this is a happier angle to go with all the other perspective lines than we have here. I would use this trick, technique, whatever you like to call it, in virtually every drawing I do, except usually I'm doing it when this guttering is just at a single line stage, and at that point I notice that it's not quite right and I make the adjustment. And it's not something that I just do with these upper, more extreme lines. I will do this with any line, any perspective angle that I feel is not quite right. And what I've consistently found is if it looks a little bit different, a little bit heavy, or a little bit overworked, it's actually far less visually of an interruption to the visual harmony of the overall drawing than a perspective angle that's noticeably too steep or too shallow. Or that doesn't fit into the fan-shaped pattern with the lines above or below it. Any of these lines out of place can have this technique applied to them to make their impact less noticeable. Why not give it a go? And if, like me, you've already got a drawing where you have an angle that you can see when you carefully compare is not quite right, why not take a photo of your drawing and print off a couple of copies to experiment this technique with? And now that you know that I do this, pay attention to my videos in future to just see how often I use this. Often several times in the one drawing. This would be one of the most important devices I use in my freehand ink drawing to end up with something that's as accurate in terms of perspective as I can possibly get it. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. I hope you found this interesting, but more than that, I really hope you found it helpful. And if you didn't manage to find the like button before now, but you've watched to this point, then please, why not hit it now for me and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this. Do you think you'll have much use for it or not? So why not have a look through your old drawings, find one that you're not happy with, where you know the perspective isn't quite right. Print off a few copies and experiment with using this technique to get a happier outcome. But whatever you draw, however you draw it, however it turns out, make sure you have fun. But quite frankly, if our drawings turn out, I think they're a bit more fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.